On January 9th, 2026, hospitals in Tehran ran out of space for gunshot victims. Not from a war, but their own government shooting protesters. 2,000 have been dead in last 48 hours. Internet shut down nationwide. Executions have doubled from last year. In fact, they have become the highest in last 40 years. Right now, Iran is experiencing what could be the end of 46 years old theoretical regime. But this is not like some other protest movements which you may have ignored. This has the potential to start a war that defines this generation. I'm going to tell you why you should care, not because of human rights, although that matters, but this one directly affects your life in ways you have not realized yet. This is the Iran protest, what is really happening, and why the next 6 months could change everything. Welcome back. This is Groomed Guru. Let's get started with this one. So दोस्तों, let me be very clear. Iran has had protests before, 2009, 2019, 2022. They all failed. The regime brutally crushed those protests. So why is 2026 different? 3 reasons, and they are all about economics and not about ideology. First, the Bazaris have turned against the government. This is huge. For last 100 years, Iran's merchant class, the Bazaris, have been the kingmakers. They supported the 1979 revolution. They have been the regime's economic backbone. But now they are in the streets. And why? Because the Iranian rial, the currency of Iran, it has lost 56% of its value in last 6 months. Cooking price has doubled up. Cheese and chicken have spiked up. Imported rice is not even available. When the people who make money of the system stop making money, then the system is cooked. Second reason is that the regime is externally weaker than ever. Between 2023 and 2025, Iran has lost Syria's former president Bashar al-Assad, who was their main Arab ally, and he has been residing in Russia since 2024. The terror group Hezbollah, it has been destroyed by Israeli strikes. Another terror group, Hamas, its leadership has been eliminated. The nuclear program, it has been set back by US and Israeli attacks, and Iran's air defenses has also been proven vulnerable. At one point of time, Iran used to project power across the Middle East, but now they can barely defend themselves. And thirdly, there is no economic way out. The regime's budget has prioritized security spending by 150%. And while the wages increase has only been about 40%, that means they are spending more on policing you, but they are giving you to buy less and less food. The government has spent decades promising about economic prosperity after the revolution. That promise is dead now. And when people have nothing left to lose, they literally lose it. Here is my take. Previous protests failed because the regime was strong, externally and economically stable enough to buy off key constituencies. Today, they are weak abroad and they're broke at home, and that is a perfect recipe for a collapse. But, and this is critical, collapse does not mean improvement. It often means chaos. And let me walk you through what happens next, because these are not predictions, these are scenarios, because the future is never certain, but it is not random either. So first scenario could be, which has, I feel, which has got 40% chances, that the regime does what it has done before, but more worse. They have already killed 2,000 people in last 48 hours. They have doubled their executions in 2025. They shut down the internet. They escalate. They do mass arrest in tens of thousands. Public executions can be done to instill fear. Economic concessions may be given to the merchant class so that they can split the opposition. And here is the dark reality that it might work also, because Trump's threat to intervene in Iran might actually help them. Nothing unites a country like foreign threats. Iranians hate their government right now, but they hate foreign invasion more. History proves this. Look at this. Look at how US intervention in Iraq and Libya turns out. And if this particular scenario happens, then there shall be brutal repression for next 2-3 years. Economic stagnation shall continue. Brain drain will accelerate, and every educated Iranian who can leave will leave. Regional proxy wars can resume once domestic control is secured. But for you, oil prices shall stay volatile, regional instability shall continue, and it will just lead to more suffering. The second scenario can be a managed transition, which I feel can be a 30% chance. This is the optimistic scenario. The regime reads the entire room. Supreme leader Khamenei is 86 years old. Either he dies or he is pushed aside. Moderate factions within the Revolutionary Guard and government pushes for opening. They make real economic and limited political concessions. Think about Myanmar's attempted transition in 2011, but it was actually successful. The key difference here will be the international mediation. Maybe China, who has the most to lose from Iranian collapses, it might broker a deal. Sanctions may be gradually lifted. Constitutional reforms might happen over next 3 to 5 years, and if this happens, then Iran may slowly democratize. Oil production and oil price may slightly stabilize. Israeli-Palestinian conflict may become more solvable without Iranian backing of the Hamas, the terror group. And there may be a democratic model in Middle East. And for you, it may result into lower gas prices, more regional stability, and this is the best realistic outcome. But it requires incredible discipline from protesters, it requires international diplomacy, and it will also require the regime to understand its own people. And another scenario could be external intervention, which has got just 10% chances. Trump has already said that America is locked and loaded and ready to go if Iran kills protesters. Israel has also said that it will not allow Iran to rebuild its program. So what if they actually intervene military-wise? So US and Israeli strikes shall target nuclear facilities, military infrastructure, and it may also target regime leadership of Iran. And it may also attempt to support protesters military-wise. If this happens, then there can be a full-scale regional war. Iran can also then attack US bases in Iraq, Syria and Gulf states. Strait of Hormuz, through which 21% of global oil passes, that can also get blocked by Iran. Hezbollah may attack Israel, Houthis may attack Saudi Arabia. And this means that there shall be a global economic depression. Thousands to millions of casualties may happen, and there can be a potential of World War III if Russia or China intervene. And for you, it shall mean economic collapse. Every single thing which you buy will become dramatically more expensive. Global instability can come for a decade. My honest opinion is that I'll think that we get a combination of scenario 1 and scenario 2. The regime survives short term through horrific violence, but they will be forced to make real economic concessions and begin gradual political opening. Khamenei's death may also accelerate this. And if we talk about timeline, then I feel that the regime shall limp through 2026, killing thousands, and by 2008, we see real reforms come in. And by 2030, it could be a possibility that Iran may look different, more democratic, and possibly less chaotic. But at the same time, if you're thinking that, okay, this is awful and this is far away from me and why should I be affected from this? Well, there are 3 reasons, and they are all about power, money and precedent. First is energy economics. Iran produces around 3 to 4 million barrels of oil per day. That means it is almost about 4% of global supply. Right now, oil is trading at around $60 per barrel. Why so low despite protest? You'll ask, that is because of probably oversupply. But what happens if Iran's production goes offline, or if the conflict escalates? Well, we have seen this before. When Libya had collapsed in 2011, then oil had spiked per barrel. Iran is 3 to 4 times larger than Libya. Every dollar increase in oil prices will roughly add a huge percentage to oil prices. That means now your Uber will cost more. That means your groceries will cost more. And because the transportation actually costs more, inflation will increase. And this is not only about oil. Iran is also geographically critical. Instability there means that trade routes get disrupted. Insurance cost for shipping goes up. Global supply chain gets stressed. The 2020s have already shown how fragile global supply chains are. We have all seen this throughout the COVID. Iran collapsing is another major shock which the system might not absorb well. Think about it. Hezbollah in Lebanon, it has been funded and armed by Iran. Houthis in Yemen, they are also backed by Iran. They have been attacking shipping in the Red Sea. Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, they are also Iran backed. And Hamas, whatever is left of that, that is also Iran backed. If Iran falls, then all of these groups will lose their primary sponsor. That means it could result into regional chaos as these groups will scramble for a new patron. Plus, power vacuum will also get filled. Saudi Arabia and Turkey could compete for influence. Israel might expand its reach. Russia and China will lose a major ally and they can also push back. The Middle East has been relatively stable for the past 2 years, and Iranian collapse could restart regional wars without any unpredictable consequences. And another major reason is, and this is an important one and nobody is talking about it, Iran has got a population of around 89 million. It is highly educated, it is young, it is pluralistic. Many women don't wear hijabs despite laws. There is a civil democratic society underneath the authoritarian service. If Iran democratizes, then it would be the second largest Muslim majority democracy after Indonesia. It would prove that democracy can work in Middle East, which is not imposed by any foreign invasion like the failed experiment of US in Iraq. Well, that is huge because it will change the entire narrative about whether Muslim majority countries can be democratic at all. So, to conclude, let me bring this home with an uncomfortable truth. We are living through a historical moment. The potential end of Islamic Republic is as significant as the fall of Berlin Wall or the Arab Spring, or maybe more so. But unlike those moments, we are ignoring it. Right now, why? Because we are exhausted by Middle East news, because it feels distant, because we have been burned by getting invested in all those protest movements which have failed. I get it, but this one matters, not just morally, though 2,000 people have died in last 40 years, but practically. Your gas prices, your oil prices, your groceries, your Uber, your economic stability depends on Iran protests. They are all tied to what happens in Tehran over the next 6 months. My honest opinion shall be that I am cautiously pessimistic about it. I think the regime shall survive short term through terrific and horrific violence. I think we'll see getting more thousands of people killed, but I also think that the long-term trajectory is clear. The Islamic Republic is a dead regime walking, whether it falls in 2026 or 2027 or 2030. Well, it has already lost its legitimacy. The only question is that whoever replaces it shall be better or worse, and that will depend on the choices being made right now by the protesters in Iran, by diplomats internationally, and by the citizens like you who decide whether to pay attention or to look away. Well, if you have learned something, share this. If you disagree with me, comment and I shall go through them. Thank you so much.